You have a type. You know you do. Maybe it's a jawline, a laugh, a certain calmness in the eyes. That preference was shaped by tens of thousands of years of choices made by people who never met you. Choices that quietly rewired the human face, the human temperament, and the human brain. What your ancestors found attractive didn't just affect who they married, it changed what your entire species became. This is the strange, largely unknown story of how mate choice built modern humans. Your face is literally your face. If you lined up a modern human skull next to a Neanderthal skull, the differences would jump out immediately. Neanderthals had heavy brow ridges, jutting midfaces, powerful jaws built for enormous bite force. You have none of that. Your forehead is smoother, your brow is thinner, your face is in almost every measurable way softer. Softer sounds like an insult. It is actually a clue. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham has spent decades studying why. His answer is uncomfortable at first, then oddly obvious. He argues that modern humans domesticated themselves, not through some outside force and not on purpose in any conscious sense. Through mate choice repeated across thousands of generations. Here's the logic. Wrangham draws a distinction between two very different kinds of aggression. There's reactive aggression, the explosive, uncontrolled kind, a shove that turns into a fight, a grudge that turns into violence. And there's proactive aggression, the calculated, planned kind used to eliminate a threat before it becomes one. Early human groups, it turns out, were remarkably good at the second kind. Groups had ways of identifying men who were violent, domineering, uncontrollably reactive, and they had ways of removing them, sometimes through exile, sometimes, according to the anthropological record, through execution by consensus, which means generation after generation, the most explosively aggressive men were quietly filtered out of the gene pool. The other half happened somewhere far more intimate than a tribal council. It happened in who women chose to have children with. Across an enormous range of human societies, research consistently shows a pattern. Given a choice, women tend to prefer calmer, more cooperative, less overtly domineering partners over purely aggressive ones, especially for long-term partnerships. Not universally, not without exception, but consistently enough to matter evolutionarily. Think about what that means, compounded across 60,000 years. Every generation, the most volatile men were less likely to be chosen, less likely to raise children, less likely to pass on the genes that built that volatility in the first place. Scientists studying domesticated animals noticed something odd decades ago. When you selectively breed animals for tameness, docility, low aggression, you don't just get calmer animals, you get animals with smaller teeth, shorter snouts, floppier ears, softer faces. This happens in foxes, it happens in dogs bred from wolves. Researchers call the whole cluster of changes domestication syndrome, and it shows up again and again whenever a species is bred for reduced aggression. Biologist Cedric Boeckx and his colleagues went looking for evidence of this same process in humans. They compared modern human genomes to those of Neanderthals and Denisovans, hunting for genetic overlap with known domestication genes in other species. What they found lined up: a cluster of genes tied to a protein called BAS1b. Genes known to shape the very cells responsible for facial structure showed patterns consistent with the same selective pressure seen in domesticated foxes and dogs. Your smaller jaw, your shorter face, your gentler brow. These may be side effects of thousands of years of selecting for calm over aggression. The human version of a wolf slowly becoming a golden retriever. You are not just descended from survivors. You are descended from the ones judged trustworthy enough to raise the next generation. Now here's the part that should genuinely unsettle you a little. If mate choice shaped your face, it shaped your instincts too. The parts of you that read a stranger's tone of voice in half a second. The parts that flinch at unpredictable anger and relax around steady calm. The parts that find reliability more attractive over time than raw intensity. None of that is random. It is the residue of thousands of generations of people choosing again and again partners who felt safe to build a future with. That doesn't mean attraction today is simple or that everyone wants the same thing. Human preference is messier than any one theory can fully capture, and researchers still debate how strong this effect really was, and in which environments it mattered most. But the broad pattern, calm favored over chaos, cooperation favored over domination, shows up again and again across cultures and across time. Which brings you back to that type you have. That instinct that draws you toward someone steady, someone who doesn't explode, someone whose presence feels like safety instead of a threat. You didn't invent that instinct. You inherited it from thousands of years of ancestors making the same quiet calculation, generation after generation, about who was safe enough to build a life with. You have a type. You always did. But now you know it isn't just yours. It's the fingerprint of every ancestor who ever chose calm over chaos, and in doing so built the face and the mind you're using to read this very sentence right now.